It's Saturday, February 3rd, 2018, and welcome to Eezeey Gamer. This is a bonus video for Saturday because there's a topic that I kind of want to talk about. A lot of controversy about microtransaction has been for a little while about microtransactions in AAA video games and microtransactions in general. Nickel and diming us and loot boxes and things like that. But here's the problem. Video games are getting extremely expensive. They have been expensive to make for years. Years. And the prices have gone up on how much it costs to make a video game. There are rumors that Grand Theft Auto 5 cost $250 million to make. That's unreal. $250 million. So, how do you make that money back? Well, they're doing it with shark cards and Grand Theft Auto Online. They've made billions. They've made their money back. They're good. But think about it. We pay $60 for a game. Well, when did we start paying $60 for a game? It was around 1995. 1995 is when it was about the time we started paying $60 for a video game. And I vaguely remember there was a little bit of controversy around it. I think it was in a video game magazine because the internet wasn't a big deal in 95 yet. So there was a little bit of controversy. There was going from $50 price point, which the Sega Genesis games and Super Nintendo games for the most part, where some of the cartridge games were a little bit more expensive depending on what you were buying. There was some controversy that they were going to go up in price when the PlayStation came out. The PlayStation and the Saturn, the next generation of systems, the N64. They said, well, the prices of games are going to have to go up. Because at this point, you've been paying $50 a game for, I think, probably since the mid-'80s, since the NES. I don't remember how much we were paying for Atari cartridges back in the day. I think it was also $50, but there was so much shovelware on the 2600. I remember my parents buying some of these games for $10, $20. So, since 1995, we have been paying $60, the same basic price we pay in 2018, 23 years later, and we're still paying the same price. Now think about it. How many things that you're paying for now did you pay the same price in 1995? I can't really think of anything. In 1995, I think gas was like $1.30 something a gallon. Now it's, depending on where you live, $2.50, $3, $4 a gallon. So we're paying 1995 prices in 2018 for video games, but yet video games haven't gotten cheaper to make. Video games are always getting more and more expensive. Back in 1995, I don't think anybody had even made $100 million video game. And that includes, I think Final Fantasy VII might have come close to that with its marketing. I think it might have come close to that number. But don't quote me on that. I'm not positive. Nobody really releases their exact numbers on how much they spend on marketing and research and development and development of the video game and testing and all that. It's very vague. Nobody really, I mean, all you get is estimations. But let's say that the average AAA title, and we're talking the big games, we're talking the ones that have all the horsepower behind them, they have a lot of marketing behind them. We're not talking indie titles. We're talking your big time games, your Maddens, your Call of Duties, your Overwatch. Overwatch probably cost a ton of money to make, even though it's made its money back, and just easily. You look at even Battlefront 2. I know there's a lot of controversy, but I bet you that game was over $100 million to make and market. So you have to think about it. To make your money back on a $100 million game, and this is saying that all $60 goes right back to the publisher and the developer. But let's say it costs $100 million. Well, if you sell 1 million copies of your game, you'll make $60 million. If you sell 2 million copies of your game, you'll make $120 million. But guess what, kids? The publisher, the developer don't see 100% of that money because they've got to share that money with Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, the retailers. They still have to spend the money on packaging, they have to spend the money on marketing, that money doesn't all go to them. So selling 2 million copies of the game at $60 a copy doesn't give them their money back. So the profit margins are tiny. So if you sold 2 million copies of a game and you got all $60 for every game and you made $120 million, you're still only making $20 million. I say only, like I have a lot of money. $20 million would set me for life and I would never have to work again, as most of us wouldn't have to. But we complain about microtransactions and we complain about DLC and we complain about, well, we used to get the full game for $60. Yeah, that's when the game maybe cost 4 or 5 million to make. And you could sell 2-3 million copies and easily make your money back. So now you don't easily make your money back. The games cost too much to make. So what's the solution? Charge $100 for the game? People would lose their minds if we started charging $100 for video games. So you can't do that. Well, obviously we've seen that the competitive loot box thing really doesn't work. Overwatch seems to not have any issues with loot boxes because all of it is, it's all, I can't think of the word right now, but none of it affects the competitive balance. It's only for, it's only cosmetic. It only changes the look of your character. It doesn't change anything else. So you have to think to yourself, it's like, is it a bad thing to raise the price of the game or just have optional DLC? Now, I still say we need to get rid of the loot boxes. Bring out something to where, if you really want to keep the games at $60 so people don't lose their minds. But if you want to put a few cosmetic things into the game that people can buy extra, then do that. Some of the bigger games will sell, like, if Overwatch was to sit there and go, look, you have to pay $10 to get this skin of Diva, there'd probably be 1 million people that would buy the skin. So you're going to make $10 million on some coding that makes Diva look a little different, that you probably spent, a couple $1,000s to develop and put together all told, and you'll still make millions. And they can go in and just buy the thing that they want instead of these stupid loot crates that have sprays and emotes and things that maybe most people don't want. They want the different costumes. So why not do that? It's like, put that kind of stuff in your game. Something like, hey, I spent $60 on this game, but what if I want invincibility? What if you give me $10 more and I make it so you can have invincibility in your game? Sign me up. Infinite ammo. Sign me up. I'll spend another $20 on your game just on those 2 things alone. So, why not? Give people options to spend money on options. Things that you normally wouldn't put in a game, like invincibility. And of course, not online invincibility. It can only be for the single player game. You don't ever want to affect competitive balance in an online game. Never. You want it to always be fair. It's like whoever's willing to grind more and get better should be better. So a lot of this is going to be, how do you get that money back? You can't charge $100 for the game because everybody will freak. But if you basically say, look, no more loot crates, no more gambling, let's nip this in the bud right now so that the government doesn't step in and say, you're making kids gamble. Now we're going to put it so it's like, okay, here's a game. It has a lot of stuff in it. But here's a few things that you don't have that we think that you're going to want. So give us a little bit of extra money. Now, you don't have to. You can still finish the game. You can still play the game competitively without paying another dollar. But if you want this, if you want this, and if you want this, it's going to cost you an extra $15. And maybe you even do some kind of a bundle. You bundle it up to where it's like, if you buy 4 things from us, that each cost $5. We'll knock $5 off. Buy 3, get 1 free. So we know we're getting an extra $15 for the coding, because all it is coding. It's an extra few bucks that's going to go into their pockets. You've now spent $75 on that game. And you did it voluntarily because you got to pick the things that you wanted. I think that is the solution. Not loot crates, because loot crates, we're going to get into a real sketchy area where the government is going to step in if the video game industry cannot self-regulate itself. And it's going to have to self-regulate itself to the government's approval. So if they don't pull that trick off, then the government's going to step in and do it for them. And if the government steps in and does it for them, that may not be good for us, the gamer, either. Because it may make it to where the video game companies have to sit there and go, well, the government stepped in, I can't do microtransactions, I can't have loot crates, so now if I'm going to make any money, I got to charge $100 for my video game, blame the government. So see, we need to come up with a solution that makes it fair for everybody. And then you say, well, that $75 is still a lot to spend on a video game. Yeah, but we should probably be spending about 80 or 90. 23 years later, we should probably be spending 80 or 90. But how much entertainment value do you get out of your game? Let's look at it this way. I'm going to come up with something called the MVPH, monetary value per hour. How much money does it cost you per hour to enjoy your favorite game? Let's put this in a movie sense. The average movie costs about $12. Now we're going off of a national level here. $12 is a good cost for a movie. 2-hour movie, that means you're getting $6 of MVPH. Per hour, you're getting $6 you're paying for your entertainment. So we're going to call that the baseline. $6 is what everybody seems to be all right with. You're going to spend $12 on a 2-hour movie. That means you're willing to pay $6 an hour for entertainment. Now let's go to one of my favorite video games, the Forza series. Every Forza game, I spend about $150 a year. I do. I admit it. I buy the VIP package, which costs $100 to start, so that I can play the game 5 days earlier. I voluntarily do that because I want to play that game 5 days earlier. I want the VIP stuff. I want the extra car packs. I want the double VIP bonus, which Forza 7 tried to jip us out of without telling us, giving us those stupid little mod cards instead, but they fixed that. They did fix it. Now the VIP bonus is there that we're used to. So Turn 10 Studios fixed that. But I spent the $100. Now it's good for 6 car packs. They release about 10 of these things a year. So I have to spend another, I think they're about $8 a piece. So I have to spend another $32 to get those. And then you can spend $20 on what is a DLC pass, which means they'll release usually 2 DLCs that would normally cost you about 30 or 40 bucks. They'll give them to you for 20. So I'll buy all of that, about 150 bucks for the game. Now I put about 200, even more than 200 hours into Forza games. Every Forza game I put in over 200 hours. So when you look at my MVPH for 200 hours of video gaming, I'm going to do the math because I want the exact number. I kind of want to know the exact number. I'm estimating it's around 65 to 70 cents. But I'm going to get an exact number. I should have did this before the video, but you know, we're going to do this. We're going to do this anyway. And this is taking too long. And I was right. I was a little off. If I play a game for 200 hours, I get 150 and I spend 150 bucks, I get about 75 cents an hour. So whereas a movie would cost $6 an hour, my favorite video game, even spending 150 bucks, I'm only spending 75 cents an hour for entertainment. So I am getting my money's worth. So you have to start looking at video games that way. Your favorite video game, how many hours do you put into it? If you spend $60 on a video game and you put 60 hours into it, you're getting $1 an hour of MVPH. $1 of monetary value per hour. So that's pretty good, right? I'm playing a game. Even if you play a game for 30 hours, a $60 game for 30 hours, you're still only spending $2 an hour on entertainment. Now, if you buy a $60 game and you only play it for 1 hour, you just spent $60 for the 1 hour. So that's a terrible business decision. But we have to start looking at how much we actually play our games. Is it worth it to spend a little more? What does the video game industry need to do to appease us? What does the video game industry need to do to come up with a nice balance? Let's look at Forza, for instance. I spend all that money on the DLC and the VIP, and I spend all that money. And they offer up individual cars for like $2 or $3 a piece. Okay, that's fine. If I want an individual car, I pay a couple of bucks for it. I think it's $2.99 per car. But they hide certain cars behind car packs. You can buy this car, this car, this car, but the really cool one you can't buy unless you get the whole car pack. You got to spend the full $8. So a lot of people will say, well, if I want that, I might as well just buy that. But what if every car just costs $3? You know, and you could still do the car packs where you could still charge $8 for the car pack, or you can just charge $3 for every car. No hiding it, no, no doing that kind of garbage. Just $3 per car. Same with Overwatch. Skins. No more loot crates. Do you want this new costume? It's going to cost you $10. There's your new costume for Diva. There's your new costume for McCree. There's your new costume for, Torborg. There's your new costume. This is what you wanted. You spend the money. You don't have to do all the stupid loot crates. You don't have to grind for it. You just get to go in and say, I wanted it. I paid for it. It's not like it's a glory thing. You're just like, ooh, look at me. It's like I got this through being good at the game. No, you got lucky, and that's how you got that costume. You're just luckier than this person over here who may have grinded for more hours and is a better player, but just wasn't lucky enough to get the skin that he wanted that you got because you got lucky on the first try. So why not give everybody the chance to just buy it? So I'm kind of the mind, give us a full game for $60 and add things to it for bonuses. Things you don't normally have in your games. Like I said, alternate costumes, alternate skins for weapons, alternate skins for vehicles, things of that nature. Don't sit there and go, well, if you want this playable character, you got to pay for it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't give us another playable character that you should have been playable in the game. Let us play through. Don't give us all this don't give us another. Don't release a game on day one and sit there and go, oh, by the way, there's another story that goes with this character. If you want to pay an extra $20, you can play this character's story. No. That should be in the game. Or at least disguise it as DLC 6 months down the road. It's like if you're going to make a video game, plan on cosmetic changes that might keep people interested in your game. Like I said, also do things like invincibility. Do things like, infinite ammo, infinite magic. Weird little modifications that you guys can do inside your own games in the single player when you're testing the games or when you're developing the games. You kind of open up the debug menu to us and let us buy the options that we want. Myself being an Eezeey Gamer, I just want to play the game and have fun. If I'm supposed to be the total dominant, if I'm supposed to be an awesome superhero, I don't want to get killed by a scrub because my health was low. I really don't. I want to be able to just go and whack. If I'm supposed to be Superman in a game, thug number 3 shouldn't be able to even affect my life bar. Just shouldn't be able to. I'm sorry. It should. If I am supposed to be the hero, I am supposed to be the best. That's why I don't understand Dark Souls. You're supposed to be the hero of that game and you die 3,000 times before you ever get to the end of the game. That's not heroic. I don't see that as being heroic. So give me invincibility. I'll pay you $10 more for invincibility. I'll pay you $10 more for infinite, maybe infinite or maybe invincibility. If you have protect missions, I'll pay you another $10 just to make sure that whatever I'm protecting doesn't die. You make whatever I have to protect invincible. I'll pay you an extra $10 right there. So you've already gotten $80 out of me just from 2 options. That doesn't even count infinite ammo, infinite magic, things like that. Other little things that you might be able to alter a game a little bit. So this video's went past the 15-minute mark. Part of the reason I'm doing this is because I looked at my YouTube thing and it says I'm supposed to be able to do videos longer than 15 minutes. So I'm kind of pushing the limits with this video. Let's see what it really lets me do. So this video is going to go a little longer. But I had a lot of stuff I wanted to kind of touch on in this game. So that to me is the solution. Still charge us $60 for the game. Give us a full game. Give us a full game experience out of that $60. But put some additions. Put some cosmetic additions. Give us a few options that we normally wouldn't have in video games. Give us the option to buy those. So then maybe you can get your money in a way that's voluntary. It's not through loot crates. It's not through a gambling system. It's basically saying, and I know EA would overdo this. EA would basically sit there and go, I'm going to give you 1/4 of the game and you got to pay another $180 for the other 3/4 of the game. Oh, thanks. You're going to give me a $20 game for $240. No, I don't consider that a good deal at all. It's like, even if it does work out, I mean, if that works out to $12 an hour, that's not good MVPH. So monetary value per hour, we want it to be high. But if I spend 80 hours in your game and I've spent spent $80 on your game, I'm getting $1 an hour of entertainment. That's how we have to start looking at these things. How much entertainment do these games give us? Now, a new IP is dangerous because we don't know if we're going to have fun with it or not. So we may pay $60 for the game and only play it for 5 hours and go, this game sucks. But you're still getting, roughly, I mean, if you play the game for 5 hours on a $60 game, you're still getting, your MVPH isn't that good either. It's like $12 an hour. So it's not the best, but that's what I'm saying. A new IP would be dangerous for something like that. So we're going to have to come up with the way to make it good for everybody so that the game industry doesn't crash on us, so that we can voluntarily pay a little bit more for the stuff we want instead of doing these stupid loot crates and this semi-pseudo gambling that the video game companies are trying to push on us. Let's do something else. Now, if the video game industry says, well, it doesn't show that people like to pay that kind of money, give us a chance. Put a full game together, give us a full game experience, and then give us cool stuff that we pay for. And then incrementally, start out cheap, and then incrementally move it up and see what people are willing to pay. Don't just sit there and say, I say $10 for an Overwatch costume because I think the coolest costumes in the game, people would pay $10 for. If they knew they could just pay $10 for it, they would pay $10 for it. But maybe that's too high. So you sit there and you offer a skin for $10, nobody buys it. Well, lower the price. See if you offer $5 for it, or start low and work your way up higher. It's always probably better to start low, because then if you start at $5, then everybody sits there and they go, oh, well, now the prices went up. Why'd the price go up? It's like, but I still want it. I'm still willing to pay that. Then you sit there and you go, okay, so about $750 is what they're willing to pay. So we'll make everything $750. Things like invincibility in a game or infinite ammo. You sit there and you charge $10. Well, if nobody buys it, lower the price. If everybody buys it, raise the price. I'm not against capitalism. I'm not against you getting rich. Believe me, I'd like to be rich too. So I'm not against you getting rich as long as it's voluntary, as long as it's not something I have to do to complete the game. As long as I don't have to pay to complete your game or pay for additional content that should have been in there in the first place, And believe me, the gaming community is going to let you know. They'll let you know what you're cheating them on. So remember, we're paying the same that we paid in 1995 for video games. 1995, we paid $60 per game. 2018, we're still paying $60 per game. Microtransactions are a big topic right now. Loot boxes are a big topic right now. Let's try to fix that with just let us pay for what we want. Give me the full game for 60 bucks, a full game experience, and then add things to it that I might want later. Invincibility, infinite ammo, new skins, but nothing that affects competitive balance in multiplayer. You cannot affect competitive balance in multiplayer. So as long as you're going to make most of it cosmetic and I don't have to use it to finish the game, it's not like you're hiding a special item that it's like, no, no, no. To get the real ending of the game, you got to spend another 10 bucks. That's wrong. But if you want to give us DLC that gives us another 20 hours of story and you want to make us pay 20 hours for the thing, then we're getting $1 per hour of MVPH. I'm good. Especially if I've already played your game for 60 hours and I've gotten my $1 of MVPH out of that. So, what do you think? Do you think the game should just go up in price? Do you think they should maybe just be $80 across the board and give us everything? No microtransactions. Or do you think the loot crate thing is fine? You think that the gambling aspect or the pseudo, it's not technically gambling, but is gambling. It's a gray area. It's a very gray area. But what do you think? Do you like the loot box systems the way they are? Do you think that if people pay to win, that they should be allowed to pay to win? Or do you think that everybody should be on an even playing field and all of the stuff should be cosmetic that's in a multiplayer game? Would you pay for stuff like invincibility or infinite ammo or, would you pay for that kind of stuff so that you could play the game at your leisure, have a little bit more fun? Would you pay extra? I know I would. So let me know down in the comments below if you like the video, like it. This is a bonus video of the week. Usually my Eezeey Gamer stuff is on Wednesday, but I really wanted to do this video and kind of test my 15-minute mark. See if YouTube will really let me upload this. Otherwise, I'm going to have to break it into 2 pieces. So, with all that being said, to the troops, past, present, and future, thanks for the freedom.